Okay, everyone, welcome to another Muffins with Morgan this Friday. As always, we have the muffins. I brought back the strawberry muffins. They're actually really, really good. Um, might not be good for my diet, but it is what it is. They're good. We got Mike here today, and I'm really excited about this conversation because it's a little bit different than, hey, let's go on LinkedIn or make a cold call or something of that nature. We're talking about how do you actually get a referral program going and how do you book meetings from that into very large accounts? Because we know at the end of the day, getting into larger accounts can be more difficult. So this is a way that you can go about it. So as everyone comes in, let us know where you're tuning in from, where you're at. We obviously would love to hear where everyone's at and what they're doing across the board. And then yeah, we'll hop right into it. Mike, how's your day going?
It's going well, man. Yeah, it's I'm super pumped to be here. And I thought I was going to have to come with some sort of, talking piece to open this up, but we were already talking earlier and was going to call out just the fact that I'm starting off my first ever, I think, video appearance with a black eye. So,
Is
add a little
that the
color and
hallmark for your
context.
day?
Yeah, rather than talking about the weather, right? We're gonna talk about how I just got popped in. No, it's from basketball. So I promise I'm not out there in the trenches, going that hard after prospecting.
Shout out to B-ball.
Yeah,
Shout out to
man. I'm
B-ball.
pumped to be here. It'll be fun.
100%,
And
100%.
I got my muffin too. I went out and got it this morning. In fact, the place I usually went to was so packed I had to stop at a different spot. So thanks to Muffins with Morgan, I've got a new coffee shop with a new muffin.
There we go. Hey, let's get it. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Cool, y'all. Well, today again, we're talking about referrals. We're getting into it. But let's first introduce everybody that is here. So let me share my screen. No, that one. What? Blank screen. That's not what we want. But as we get into this, here we go. We're gonna introduce. So, Mike, introduce yourself. Tell us about what you're doing on a day to day. Then also tell us a fun fact, because we always love to hear a fun fact.
Yeah. So Mike Braun, senior account executive, executive advisor, kind of whatever the flavor of the week is going with us sales reps in this world. And been with AppZen now coming up on 3 years. Been in SaaS and fintech for going on, gosh, almost 10 years now. In Minneapolis, Minnesota, and AppZen being a fintech AI first company that truly is AI first. That's the beautiful part about the organization that I love working for is this is not jumping on the bandwagon, so it's fun, right? It's been built from the ground up, and it's such an amazing place to be where you can actually have a voice impact. And exactly what we're talking about today is because of the organization that I work at, to have that flexibility and latitude and confidence in the abilities of our team. So, yeah, I've been doing this for quite a while now. And, interesting fact, I would say, my travel background. I've done, I want to say it's now 43 countries. So, I attribute actually, I would say a lot of my, success just to the experiences and the people and the cultures and getting out there and experiencing the world. So that'd be my most interesting fact to share.
What's the coolest place you've been in the world?
Man, I knew that question was coming
I mean,
next.
you already knew I was gonna follow up.
I know. That's great. And it's always so tough, right? Because when people ask me too, they're like, well, where should I go? Well, do you want to sit on a beach for 7 days and just drink pina coladas, or do you want to go try to climb, 14K mountain? I don't know, right? Which one's your cup of tea? But I'd say, man, New Zealand was definitely one of my favorites. I mean, just the
Yeah.
topography, extreme, right? South Africa. Same thing, just the conditions there from literally climbing a mountain to then being in the the waters with great white sharks. That was wild. So, yeah, those are two of my probably favorite places.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. Everybody else, where's the favorite place that you visited? Let us know in the chat. I'll go into my introduction. Morgan Ingram. If you've been here before, you know what I'm about. But if this is your first time, I've been in outbound for the past top of funnel SaaS for the past decade. Started off as an SDR, was an SDR manager, been a full sales cycle rep, trainer at another organization, and now I run my own company. Been doing it for 3 years. It's called Amp Social, and our main core offer we have is something called Sales Team Six. In Sales Team Six, what we do is like 45 days of outbound with different clients on how to break through the noise, how to generate pipeline, etc. Most people you've seen come on this Muffins and Morgan, that's where they're getting all the frameworks and techniques from, is from the Sales Team 6 programs and when we work with SDR and AE teams. So it's been a ton of fun doing that. And that's what leads to our conversation today with Mike because he was part of a Sales Team 6 coaching session we had post SKO when I came out to AppZen. Actually, one of the coolest, I'm biased because it was in Arizona, but one of the coolest venues that I've been to for a sales kickoff. And we had met before, and Mike will kind of go into it. We had actually met before and really had a good conversation at another event that we met at, was AppZen related. And at the sales kickoff, we went over a couple of things that he executed, which we're talking about today. So we're gonna flip to that in a minute. But first, I'll let everybody know you're gonna get the recording because I know some of you are gonna ask me after. You will get the recording. Everything will be fine. It will be 100% okay. So don't worry about it. You will get this recording across the board. But Mike, I'm gonna flip it to you. Before you were doing the work that we kind of did together from the Sales Team 6, the coaching sessions, just tell us a little bit about that. And then, how we met and everything. And then we'll get into like the tactics of what you've learned since then and how other people can then build their referral strategies to book meetings.
Yeah, yeah, and let's help me kind of break that down because I know there's kind of multifaceted, multi-layered there. So starting just back to, man, yeah, it was interesting to see everything come full circle to where we are now today. It was just over a year and a half where we met so like casually in passing, right? It was basically like after an event that we had, kind of walking down the streets of Arizona. And I just remember leaving our conversation and just being like, man, this is the type of person and these are the types of people like I want to surround myself and do surround myself with. And that kind of goes into what we'll talk about more today, right? In terms of humanizing all of the processes and bringing that forward and then different strategies and methods. But having been in sales all of my life and now in the era of data, information, AI, yeah, looking for ways to do things smarter, right? Not bigger, better, faster, stronger. I think that's probably one of actually the biggest faults that a lot of us, myself included, have is it's like if I grind more, if I do more, I'm going to get more, I'm going to achieve more, and I'm suddenly going to feel and be more. And that's just what I found to not be the case. We got to find that fulfillment factor first. And like that's where when you and I had that conversation, I think that's where the success came from because a year later, you come into the room, I'm like, this guy's a good person, first and foremost, a good human. I value the insights that you have. And I also know that not every single thing is going to be for me, right? And I think that's what I've learned over the course of my career is rather than trying to find, the secret recipe, right? 1 + 1 = 2. And now suddenly I'm thinking it's 3. It's not about that. It's really about, I think, trying to humanize things first. And that's where it came about from you, man. Like really sharing about the experiences. When you came to our SCO, I leaned in. I knew that I was only going to be able to get 1 to 3 pieces of nuggets, right? And I think now having had success in my career, that's how I approach things is with a level of healthy skepticism. And yet I'm looking for 1 to 3 things that I can take away and implement. Anything more than that, you're not going to do very well, or you're going to ultimately throw one away. So why create that extra bandwidth in your mind? So that's kind of the first piece. I'll just pause there briefly.
Yeah, I think that's well, I received that and thank you. I think the big thing is like for everybody even here listening in and anything that you do, you should always be like, what are the 1 to 2, 3 things that I can learn and how can I get the most out of it? I found that if I try to take like 30 things away, like I end up cooking myself. It like doesn't end up being
Yeah.
helpful. It ends up being absolutely terrible, right? So for everybody listening in, like you should 100% do that. So you talked about okay, we how we met, vibed. Now, coming in to work with the team, it was the SDR team and the AE team. We had an hour AE coaching session. Mostly everyone in there strategic, knows how to sell. What were your big takeaways from that? And then what were things that you started executing it results on so that people can use those same results moving forward?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think, I'll share this with a quick question. I'm putting you on the spot here, but if you had to just take a guess, what would you say the average number of emails a person gets per day, like in the workforce, right? Not talking about like my
Oh,
parents, I'm talking
okay.
about like
Stop. Okay, so let's throw it out there. For everybody in the chat, how many emails or sales emails?
just straight up emails.
Okay,
And I'm talking like in your work email, right? Or your personal, it doesn't, I mean, the stat will get to the point, right?
sure.
But just take a guess. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody in the chat, take a guess at how many emails a person gets per day.
And you
I
can't
actually
use
know.
Claude or Chat GPT, all right?
Yeah, you can't use AI. You gotta answer. You gotta
Yeah.
answer in the chat. So this is literally
Somebody's
for
already
everyone.
got their Claude bot set up and it's responding.
Yeah, like my Alexa tried to answer, and I was like, "No, you're not in this conversation." So
Yeah.
everybody, like, how many emails do you think a person gets per day? I have a baseline on what I'm going to tell
Yeah.
y'all. So let's get a couple more people in here. So we got 145, we got 95, we got 50, we got some other answers, y'all.
Yeah.
I want to see what people
Why?
get.
Dude, that's the crazy thing, right? So you just think about that. One, people aren't really understanding where is this? Is it 50? Is it 100? Is it 500? I'm not talking about the spam that
Do
you
you know
don't
what it is?
even
Do you know what it
see.
is?
Oh yeah, you get
Uh,
roughly it's around 150 a day.
okay, so here's
Yeah.
the thing though. It's so the numbers now, this is y'all are ready for this. So it's
Yeah.
150 sales emails a day for an exec. So how many emails they get is like you got to think internal. I'm also thinking that as well. They're getting like 300-ish a day.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's
So
300.
it's just
And
that's
that's not even talking about their tax guy that just emailed them right now, said, "Hey, Mike, you got to come in for your appointment." Like just think about that.
yeah.
And I bring that question or that, that up because it's all in reference to what you shared with us. And that was one of the light bulbs of like, man, it's not necessarily really about getting better with your messaging. I don't care how great of a message I have, right? When you think about that, the fact that people are averaging 150 and you said sales emails, let alone now you're talking about, I work in the enterprise space, right? So customers of mine like a Stryker, a Cummins, these are massive orgs and they're of course getting blown up every single day. So you talk about 300, 400, 500 emails. And even if you have the best email, even if it's exactly relevant, you're still got a very slim chance of that really hitting because timing is everything. So, point of bringing that up, right, is thinking about ways to really stand out and differentiate myself beyond just how do I craft a better email? How do I get a better subject line? That is part of it, right? These are all things that you need to be doing. There is not a one-trick pony. So for me, I love interacting with humans. I think that's hopefully where I show up best, fingers crossed. And when you came in and started talking about using LinkedIn and understanding how to build the connection process that you've done so well and shared like that, for whatever reason, right? I've heard about it, talked about it, but seeing that and actually sitting down with you and understanding like how we can leverage that I think it's more relevant today than ever before, right? So that's what really got me prompted to saying, okay, Morgan's onto something here. Let's start looking at the humanistic aspect of prospecting. Yes, I'm on a LinkedIn platform using technology, but the fundamental piece of that is looking for connections, i.e., looking for that human aspect. So that's kind of the first piece of where I started to lean in with you was understanding, this is a different motion. Now, what we say and how we say it, yeah, to each their own. Like you are going to have to do that because my voice, you don't necessarily want to copy my email, right? Like, so just kind of, I think that was really where I first started to lean into the process. And then we started talking about building out this VIP referral program. But I'll just kind of pause there again. I want to make sure if, as the coffee kicks in, I'm munching on the muffin, I'm not just spewing through everything too quick.
Well, let's throw it back to everyone else. Like when
Yeah.
like think about that, right? Like there are like I would say 300 emails. If like actually in the chat, like what roles is everybody in here today? Like if you could put it in the chat, what role do you currently sit in? And the reason for that is what you want to do is you need to go to leadership or whatever your VP C-suite is and go to them and say, hey, like let me see your emails, like what's going on, like what's happening. And the reason that you want to do that and why that's so important is because when you're tapping into those individual into those VPs and their emails, it's going to give you an understanding of like, oh wait, this person's getting so many emails per day. How can I really stand out and be fundamentally different, right, across the board? So this is something that I would highly encourage everybody to really think about and tap into to look at, okay, what are these leaders really getting and what they're doing and how can be different. Kind of flips back to everyone as well. Like people that are in here that are, full sales cycle, it looks like, or you are a leader yourself, what are you finding? Do you have your own referral cycle? Do you have your own referral base going on, right? That's something that I would highly recommend to do. If you're not, if it's a no, that's what we're about to talk about here and how you can set that up. But think about, okay, tactically every single day, these person's getting 300 emails. What is the ways I can stand out? Referrals is the way to do that, right? Because it's going to lead to trust. So, Mike, talk about how you built this program, what's going on. I know I have some examples to share that you've sent me, but talk to us on like tactically, how'd you get this set up?
Yeah, yeah. So, to take this one step further too, right? When you're thinking about the cognitive load, and then I'll get into the VIP referral program. The other interesting stat was I think we spend between like 30 to 45% of our day in meetings. So when you toggle between that, the amount of disruptions, it's something like over 200 disruptions, right, in a day, and then all the emails, you start to get the picture, right? It's like, how are you going to get that attention space, let alone get somebody who actually wants to interact with you? So that all came about through, we know with referrals that can shorten the sales cycle by 30, 45%. And what's been interesting to me is like I came from a financial services background, right? So I used to be a wholesaler consulting all these brokerage firms, advisors on how to grow their business. And what's crazy is like everybody in that industry is all about referrals. I come to SaaS and I realize like yeah, some places have some kind of programs in, but man, the lack of like actual commitment to referral was crazy to me. So that's what really stood out to me when you started talking about the connections and we went through the LinkedIn processing to where I thought, man, I'm going to take what I used in financial services and help build a referral program. So I essentially came up with the VIP referral program. And what that essentially means is for our customers, right? So existing customers, and I get it for those of you in attendance, it may be different to where you don't have a single existing customer, but you can definitely work with your CS team and work with leadership if this is something that you want to build out. And essentially what we're doing is we're incentivizing our customer base through now it's get this grown into an ambassador program. So the VIP referral program was something I started out with, and now it's growing into the ambassador to where there's all sorts of different ways they can gain points. But with this specifically, it is such that when you refer us to somebody and they actually are of a certain title or above and they sit down for a meeting, that banks my referral person points, right? And those points add up. So after three referrals, right, they can choose to either participate in a podcast, they could be posted on a LinkedIn. We could give them financial incentives. So it really depends on the industry and also what they care about. That's the thing with the referral program is some people don't care about an Amazon gift card. Maybe they do want to be promoted, right? So they're looking for more of a professional development reward than they are for a financial gain. So be open to that. And how I came about that was actually from crowdsourcing with our customers, asking what would they want in our VIP referral program, because I'm starting to build this out. And so we got a lot of great feedback, right? That's what kind of rolled into this ambassador program. But then it comes the next part, which is being vulnerable and putting yourself out there. If you wait, I'll never forget, like my mentor had told me, if you wait until 100%, you're never going to jump. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. So when you're at 60, 70%, go for it because what you fail will actually be the biggest success, as that's going to show you the lessons, right? Whether what went right or what went wrong. So I literally did that with my first champion, my best customer, because flipping that kind of thought process, right? If I'm a prospector and let's just say I'm new to the game, I'm getting all the crappiest accounts because I want as many at bats and I don't want to blow that on a potentially great opportunity. The customer side, I thought that went the exact opposite because I have the champion, I have a great relationship. I know that I can trust her so that even if I pitch this in a terrible way, she was still gonna, understand where I'm coming from and hopefully do right by me. So I did the most half-assed, I'm talking like socialized it, had a quick chat, didn't even have a brochure, didn't even have the numbers in place. And I was just like, I'm gonna do this. And no joke, dude, you and I were talking before I went to one of our events that you were helping me prep for on the other side of things. And I get an email, and I think actually we've got it here to show. Completely unexpected. Like this came out of left field. I talked to Catherine, that was my champion, right? Probably 2 weeks prior to this email coming in. I'm at an event thinking, man, gonna gain more resources, more feedback from our customers. And this hits my inbox. So this was just so cool to see, right? Because I think for everybody listening here, like the main point here is perfection is not what you're driving for. Like you're gonna need to try some things, and I think that's where myself included. I would always do a poor job initially of like, okay, I'm gonna try this for a week, didn't work. Try that for a week. Like with a VIP referral program, that's something you're gonna commit to, but man, what took place after this was a meeting with the VP of procurement, VP of technology, their VP of compliance, and that was the first meeting that we had. So, talking about shortening sales cycles, we're now in MSA red lines from what was this, March 18th, and you know, it's now not even the end of April. So when you think about those stats around referrals, shortening sales cycles, it also creates a much less path of resistance, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yep.
There's so many different reasons why, right? So long story. I'll pause.
No, no, I think that story is helpful. And as as everyone else is listening in, if you have questions, drop them in. This email, right, shows what happens when you take action and you actually do something, right? And this is obviously big. Like you all know, Workday is not a small organization, right? Like this is massive. And this is what we were texting about is that for all of you listening in and you're a full sales cycle rep or you're a leader on this call, it's extremely important to find levers, right, that you can use to book more meetings, right? And this is an example of we know that these people that work, right, at Workday are going to know other people in that industry because they've been around for a long time, especially if they're within the enterprise. That's just typically what happens. So you got to have the willingness to tap into that and make sure that you can show up for that. One question I want to ask you, and this is probably something that everyone might be wondering, so I want to unpack it. You made certain points that they get based on the referrals that happen. So how did you decide what was important? Did you just take 10 people and
Yeah.
ask them like, and then are you letting people know each quarter like who's in the lead to make it even more competitive? Like how are you doing this?
Yeah, good question. So that's where it kind of took on a life of its own with our CS team because I ran this, out on an island by myself, started sharing it. Our CS director said, we're building out this ambassador program. So this VIP referral is actually now going to be a core pillar to it, right? And there's the point system within it to where we essentially were inquiring to our customer base, what is important to you? And that's where I thought so narrow-mindedly at first, like, okay, it's going to be dollars. But then we start to see like, wow, what about tickets to like the Gartner conference, right? What about self-promotion, whether it's podcast, video, and suddenly you start to see all the feedback from our customers to where they're like, oh, also, if you guys could add value on our next contract for a renewal, like we're in the age of agentic capabilities. So guess what? Giving you credits, right? Do you want some free cloud credits? Like, so we started to really define that based on what our customers told us. I went in there thinking one thing, and what I heard was completely different. And the fact that not only did we receive that, but then also put it into play, that right there tells your customers, wow, I'm a person in the room. I have a voice. Of course, I'm going to continue to work with them and help them because I'm feeling heard. Um, so we started to define the points around that for our ICP, right? So we said, look, you can't control whether or not we close the business. That's on us. What you can control is who you get in front of us, and that's it. And so essentially with our customers, I'm walking them through this, right? I'm not sending this to 100 customers saying, hey, check out our ambassador program and referral program. Like this is something you need to coach them through, right? So literally going through and saying, hey, here's the script. I've already got it written, but if you want to call somebody, of course, you've got plenty of people to do that, or you want to email it, however you want to. That email that came in, I did nothing. I didn't give her a script or whatever. So that's where it's such a wide spectrum. But obviously, when you're trying to commit to excellence, having a process that you can repeat is going to help you scale. So defining kind of who your ICP is, giving a quick email talk track as well as a talk track if you want for them to call. That's how we defined it. And then the points were most actually weighted based on the biggest impact to AppZen. So that's what you need to think about if you're thinking about building this out, whether you're a leader or a sales rep, is building the incentive program, yes, about what they care for, but also putting weight on the points, right? So if I can have 100 points, I'm going to put 70 on one that if you refer me to an ICP versus a non-ICP, right?
Right.
So that's how we define that so that they're equally incentivized to align with our needs.
Yeah,
Um,
because you're like it's like I don't know, I just went to basketball, but it's
yeah.
like there's like, there's a 2-pointer and there's a 3-pointer, right? There's an and one and things of that nature. Like that's like the way that you want to think about that, right? So that makes like a ton of sense when you think about the breakdown of points, right? Because obviously you're going to be more incentivized to get a high ICP tier, but they are too. But I do like how you started off as like, hey, I'm starting this program, you're going to get points, and it automatically incentivizes people versus like let's start a referral and then like it doesn't really go anywhere because no one feels as incentivized except that they may like you. So there was a question that came in here from Rocky, and the question is, how do you give Claude credits? Is it
Oh,
like
I was just making that as a joke. We use it.
oh,
We
I didn't
are
know you could do that
no,
either.
I
I was like,
know.
oh,
Well,
you can
we're
do
an AI
that?
company, so we actually do have agentic credits. So for our customers, I was making the joke around Claude, but for our customers, we do have credits. Like that's how our agentic capabilities function. So when we were speaking with one of our customers, Abercrombie and Fitch, actually, it said like, yeah, if we give you referrals, which we're happy to do, it'd be great. For example, you guys just launched this. We'd love some free credits, so that way we can kind of beta test it. So if
Right,
there's new programs, new products, new features and functionality also that you're trying to drive as a business or leader, right, within the sales org, that is a way to build this into a referral program too, right? It's like, hey, you refer us, of course, we'll give you X amount, right? Now there's a great alignment between what they care about personally and professionally and what you care about as a leader and a sales driver. So yeah, sorry, I didn't mean that literally Claude credits.
I mean, hey, look, if you get on clock
Yeah.
cards, hey, let's get it. Okay, so now that you've done this with one person, you've expanded out, it's led to that. What have been some other results you've seen from doing this VIP program? And then now, how are you looking to continue to build this out? Are you like, hey, there's 10 more people I'm going to go talk to? Like, what are you thinking there?
Yeah, so working now with our CS team, it's been again, this just like took a life of its own because they ultimately said, yeah, let's incorporate this to the ambassador program. So now we have these regional events, which we'll talk about, I think, here coming up in a moment. But that's kind of play two of these different regional events to where now we have our customers there, and if they can help drive attendance to that, there's different ways to build it out. And that's kind of my next step because I've got a big event coming up in Chicago, and we've got a customer base. I'm a Midwest, I'm geo based in terms of territory, so I have every vertical, every shape and size, basically within enterprise. But I'm Midwest, so now I'm leveraging my existing customer base to help drive attendance towards this event that we've got coming up. So I think, for everyone that's in attendance, there's a framework and a structure, right? But then the nuances are going to be based on your culture, your processes, your limitations, what have you. So the way in which I'm seeing this is now, how do I double, triple, quadruple down on building better champions? That's where I'm looking at it now when I'm bringing in new business, is I'm already teeing up the ambassador referral program when they're starting to ask for discounts. Like when we're getting into negotiations, I'm saying, look, one thing that we really, appreciate is a true partnership because man, I can't tell you how many times I'm on the phone with folks that they're like, we value partnership. And then it comes to negotiations and they're the furthest thing from it. So now I kind of put them to, the test. I'm like, look, we're happy to do that, but what we care about isn't necessarily timing a partnership because an enterprise, like, I'm not dictating when Stryker is going to sign a contract. Yeah, it's kind of on their terms. But what I can do is get their buy-in to further help us scale. And by offering them incentives and also asking on a net new business cycle if that's something they'd be willing to do, because it's like anything else. You've got to be continuously nurturing and dripping this. I could have a killer VIP referral program session, have all my champions there, and I guarantee a month later, half of them probably wouldn't do anything if I didn't follow through and continuously drip on them. So you do need to stay on top of it.
And then when you're thinking about this VIP program, that got started, that led to some meetings, and that's been great. Let's talk about the events. How are you showing up at events? And if anyone in here, if you're doing events, you got questions, feel free to drop them in. But how are you going about events? And then what's the strategy? What's the tactics around that?
Yeah, yeah, great question. And this is, I think, something I'm really most passionate about right now. Kind of teed it up with the fact around just how much we're being inundated with information. I kind of use the joking metaphor of it's like, we're giving drug addicts, a cleaner version of their drug with a better way to get it in a much more accessible way. And what I mean by that is information is flying at us, right? AI has been great in terms of delivering good content
Yeah,
that's easily digestible and understandable, but it is creating this kind of wedge between our not just brain, right, and the cognitive load we're taking on, but also what
yeah,
fulfills us, and that's human connection. And I think what you're seeing is the pendulum is already starting to swing to where people really want that connection.
right.
And they're I think craving it, right? Like you and I have talked about that, just how exhausted you can feel if you've been at your computer for a week and you've really been diving into AI, like your brain is just on overload. So my
Right.
point in bringing that up is one of our biggest customers and biggest champions talked about, he's VP of Global Shared Services. And he shared about how he doesn't do deals like through emails. He gets 1,000 emails a day. And, kind of joked, it's like the Jackson Hole meeting of financial services where all the deals are brokered behind the scenes. Like that's where these things are happening. So my point being is the messaging, the content, the events that we're doing is all around thought leadership in more intimate settings, not rah 150 plus people. We're curating these events to be 30, maybe 50, maxing them out. And we're bringing in now actually content and what's the word I'm looking for? Basically someone who's kind of curating and executing and seeing it. So we're completely neutral and biased, and essentially we're just like hosting the space, right? So now these folks are having much better conversations with peers, whether they're competitive or not. They're just happy to be in a room and sharing things that they're being challenged with internally at their organization. That's what people care about. They care about hearing from others and having the opportunity to speak, vent, share their frustrations, but also learn how to do things, in a more qualitative approach, I believe. So
Yeah.
creating that space for those folks is how I'm going about events because I think you invest that, the time, money, and energy and resources versus, bringing on more tech stacks and doing more emails and more licenses and more, SDRs and doubling, tripling headcount for that kind of stuff. Like that's, you
I mean, you
know,
can do it, but
yeah.
to what end?
So that's how I'm doing the events, man. It's something I'm super excited for because I truly believe people are going to be paying a premium for human connection
Yeah.
in one way, shape, or form, whether it's personal or professional. I could be wrong, right? So that's just one person's opinion out of, 7, 8 billion people.
How chat for everybody listening, like how are y'all thinking about being different in this AI world? I mean, I talk about in the content, like being more human and leading with that, but like in the chat, how are y'all thinking about it? What are some thought processes y'all have? And then kind of might coming to you, like you mentioned having cognitive overload with AI. You're obviously in it because it's part of your product. You are always doing something around selling and being active and things of that nature. So how are you being mindful of the AI intake that you have while still being productive as a rep?
Good question. And I don't know if I have the answer, right? It's something that really I try to stress as much as I possibly can. Like we are each our own operating system, and what works for me may not work for anybody else.
Right.
But I do believe now, especially more than ever before, it's that much more important to be intentional about taking space away from tech. We always talk about screen time, what have you, but getting out in nature, really looking for community events, right? Talking about just ways to connect with humans. That's what I do to fill up my cup of life, my other cup, right? Just really making sure I'm going as far away from that in my, personal life. And then from the event piece, is that what we're going into? Sorry, I don't know if
Yeah,
I.
no, well, it's just not even that though. It is events, but it's also like I think everyone here probably, I'll put it this way. We've talked about this. I feel like AI, we've over-indexed on it too much. It's the only thing that most people just want to talk about. yet they don't know why they want to talk about it, and they don't have a conclusion or an outcome of what they're trying to accomplish in being an AI. That conversation annoys me because it's like we're just talking to talk, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is I'm kind of asking you, like, okay, you are in these conversations about AI. Buyers
Yeah.
probably want to know. The company is probably saying you need to learn this. So it comes down to how are you making sure that you don't get completely engulfed in that, where it just becomes so overwhelming. You're like, this sucks. Like, to be honest. And I think other
Yeah.
people probably, I'm just talking off of how I feel like maybe other people don't feel this way, but like I'm just like, we're talking about this too much. I get it. It's useful, but like we know that. Like, let's move on to another topic. That's like kind of where I'm at with it, because I think there
Yeah.
are way more important topics than that. But I'm curious on how are you making sure you're not having the cognitive load of like, I have to talk about AI every single day of the month and the week, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. No, it's I'm just writing this down here. So I think one, I just was exhausted. Like I think about that. Like I didn't think about, hey, I want to be intentional. I just listened truly to my body and I felt myself, my brain, my energy level, everything was just on overload. To where I literally started researching on Claude, funny enough. I was like, what are the impacts of
Yeah.
AI and cognitive load and all of that? And now
Yeah.
it's spitting more information at me. So
Maybe take a different route than that.
yeah, yeah. So no, I mean that's honestly like I wish it was like, oh yeah, I had the foresight to see kind of this. But you know what I'm seeing right now is I think we're kind of plateauing. Like there's a lot more to come. So
Yeah.
right now I think is a great time to kind of breathe, digest what's actually relevant to what's going to help you in your job. The way that I'm using it and speaking it and seeing it is really through the efficiencies on, more of the manual processes and augmenting that type of stuff. I think that's kind of within the realm of what I can speak to, where we're going to see limitations for a short period of time. And AI, it's going to evolve to things that we have no idea coming from the internet space. So
Yeah.
using this as a moment to kind of like just hit pause, shift my focus towards things that really fulfill me, right? And allowing the AI space to, I think, continue to evolve because right now it's just getting I think it's just hitting a stop, a pause, I should say, not a stop. That's for sure. Uh,
Yeah.
in terms of like the day-to-day stuff that we're seeing, right?
Of course. Yeah. I'm curious maybe other people in the chat, how are you handling it? I think my thing has been like I've been really focused on how do I not the first step I'm taking is not using it on the weekends. I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, let me take away this. Let me not use in the weekends. And like, that's been helpful. And then really trying to see like, okay, if I come to AI, I need to have the conclusion of what I believe to be true already. I'm not coming to it for the answer. It's more so like,
yeah,
this is what I believe to be true. Like, either find more information about this that like I don't know, or like help me out along my thought process and what's occurring. So I just
yeah,
think that's like really important. But kind of going back to the events, and we can really drill into this part, and then we'll open up for questions if people have them. And it's been really helpful so far about how you built the referral strategy, how you've been able to do that. Now we're really going into the core of like the event side. We know we talked about not only going to events, but creating your own events.
yeah.
So, what's been your thought, not thought process, but what has been your process in executing that? I think a lot of people here that are listening in are sales leaders or they're full sales cycle reps, and they probably want to do something on their own that maybe the company isn't overseeing or something of that nature. So,
Hmm.
I guess my question I'd ask you is, how are you creating your own events? What's been that thought process? I think that'd be really helpful for people as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. There was something I was thinking about from the AI perspective that was bugging me. I was like, I know I want to say something. To the exhausting part, and I'll come to the events. It was really about also just noticing how lazy everybody's getting with LinkedIn content. You can even see when people are like, no comment seems to me to be super authentic, and the narrative and how things sound in your voice is very much more fragmented, bullet pointed. Once my sister pointed this out, it drove me nuts. So I'm sorry, everybody, but you're going to start seeing this now. It's now you can see AI written everywhere where it's like, it's not this, it's that. That's like the whole framework, and you'll start to see it in the
It's
messaging.
actually it's
Like,
It's
it's
bad once you
nuts.
see it everywhere because like I'm working with a coach right now on IG, and he like was breaking down videos, and he was like, this is how you know if a video has like an AI script, and now I can't unsee anything. Every
Yeah.
video I listen to, everything I read, it's like, oh my gosh, this is This is all the same. So, anyways, continue.
Yeah. No, it's exactly. And I mean, it is, but also I think that's the beauty because now you start to be able to piece through that. And that's why I was going back to like people are going to be paying that premium for the human content, right? So that goes into events in person. Now people realize like I'm speaking with a real person who's had real experience, has real results. So I do think that's actually kind of an added kicker as to why doing in-person events is so important, not just because of all the noise that's happening out there, but also the validity behind making these connections with people who have real results and are real humans. And so to your point though, the question on like how would you do this? Because not everybody has an unlimited budget, not everybody has the resources, the teams, what have you. It starts with finding something that you'd be passionate about, so that you can show up in the most excited, most interested way. That is where I go back to finding what works for each person, not what works for me, and you thinking you're going to take it and run with it. Because I love saunas and cold plunges. Maybe you don't. And if you try to do that event, you're probably going to be miserable at it. So finding something that you can show up as an authentically, genuinely interested human first. And that does not have to be big, right? That could be as simple as creating an event that is in nature at a park, right? And curating that, and inviting the people that are local. I'm just thinking very small for people that have very limited resources. The bigger point is around the messaging is always around connection, thought leadership, shared insights, and experiences. Has nothing ever to do with me, AppZen, product. And the receptiveness and interest is wildly different. People are going in there with a curious mind rather than a defensive stance. And that in itself is so much more valuable and telling, and that these events are working because they're showing up ready to have conversations, not sitting at a table hoping the sales guy doesn't come up and talk to them. Like those are two wildly different interactions, right? So when you think about what types of events can you be doing, don't overthink it. I told
No.
you, don't try to get to 100%. Think about something that's within your area, that's easily accessible, that doesn't require a lot of time, money, or energy for you if you just want to start this. And if one person shows up, awesome, right? Like I talked about too, getting the 60, 70%, you're going to then see what worked, what didn't work well. So
Yeah.
that's number one. And then number two, our messaging around like our big event coming up in Chicago, because we just did one in San Francisco, and that was an intimate executive dinner. So 16 people. Now we're doing an actual curated workshop where it is not passive. It is thought leadership in nature. We're having everybody from Fortune 5 companies within the surrounding area to come and speak. And it is invite only for senior level and above. I'm very fortunate to have the backing of our organization and a team that's helping plan this event. So there's, a wide spectrum of what you can do for these
Yep.
types of things. That's the point, is there is no secret sauce.
The secret sauce is actually just doing it, is what it
Yeah.
comes down to at the end
Yeah.
of the day, right? It's just actually doing it. And I think what you said is really important. I think cold plunges are overrated actually. So that's a whole I think they're insanely overrated. Like, oh, people pay like $1,000 for like a cold plunge tank.
Yeah.
It's out of hand. I think it's completely overrated. But my whole point is that like that is not an event that you would see me doing. Now, everybody
Yeah.
in here knows though, if I'm saying, "Hey, let's go do pickle and paddle," that's me all day long, right?
Hmm.
I'm locked in, tapped in to that every day. So, it's very important also you mentioned something and this is critical is like knowing and understanding your body and how it reacts to things that you want to do. So I know, hey, if I run a pickleball event, my body's really excited about that. But if someone was like, hey, let's go do skydiving, I'd be like, absolutely not. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah.
I think skydiving's I think it's very silly. If you really like skydiving, that's fantastic. I'm just being honest with you. Like, I think it's very silly. And then my friends try to convince me that it's cool, and I'm like, no, like I just don't see the point of jumping out of a plane. Like I don't get it. But my whole point is that like finding the things that resonate with your body and then taking action on those things are going to be absolutely critical, which will lead to you showing up in a great way when you're inviting prospects and clients to these events. I think that's very important as well.
You put it perfectly, man. And the cherry on top is when you do that, if zero people show up, guess what? You're still doing something you enjoy. So
Yeah.
no matter what, you're walking away with a win. And it doesn't have to be a 4 hour event. It could be a 1 hour event on a Friday afternoon and just try it for 3 months straight, every single Friday. I guarantee you won't hit zero for 3 months straight. Like it's going to
Yeah.
build and grow. So yeah, you put it very well summarized.
And so, as we have about 15 minutes left here, if y'all have questions, drop your questions in for Mike. Mike, I know that you had something you wanted to offer up to people. I'm going to talk about what we're doing over here at AMP so everybody's notified and informed. But if you have questions, now's the time to drop them in so that we can answer them as we wrap up these final minutes of Muffins. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed thinking about how now you can build your own referral strategy, but then also as well doing some in-person events. Cool. We'll see if questions. Mike, you can go and share what you were going to share, what you were telling me beforehand, and then we'll wait
Yeah.
and see if there's
So,
some questions.
you guys, this is in true, like, what is it? Not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. So this is me throwing this out here in the chat right now. If you want to come join a Zoom for 15 minutes on Monday and learn how you can make up to $1,000 in supporting our motion towards getting people to register for the Chicago event, that's what Monday is. The first five people, so the first five that show up on Monday will get a $25 Amazon gift card so long as you stay through the first 15 minutes. So regardless, you're making money and there's an opportunity to make more money. And this is me planning as of yesterday with my events team. I told them about this and like, yeah, why don't you just go on there and try this? And this is me at 60%, guys. So if zero of you show up on Monday, that's okay. But at least I know I tried. So that's my off the cuff plug right there.
Awesome. And I want to show y'all something. As you all know, everything that we share here on these Muffins with Morgans and the people we bring on is 1 to 5% of all the strategies I talk about within the actual program itself. So I'm buzzing to share this with you all because it's super cool. Just so you know what is actually happening within Sales Team 6. We got these results back this week, so I was like, y'all just got to see what's going on. So I'll zoom in here. So we worked with a brand called Kahua, and Kahua they sell construction software. So they're selling to people that are like building things, like not the normal SaaS. But we worked with them, and it's like you could see the results right here. You all can read it, but I wanted to bring this up to you all because, after 45 days working with them, 29% increase in opportunities created. They increased their LinkedIn activity by 80%. Everyone is using Sales Nav up to about 80, 90% now. And they've generated $21 million in overall pipeline that's still going through to close. And I'm sharing this with you all because this is the things that I'm working on with sales team. So if you are a full sales cycle rep, you're a sales leader on this call today. This is exactly what we are creating with organizations by focusing on making their reps more magnetic, intuitive, and also consistent. And here's just the ways we're doing it. So in the chat, we'll also throw in an assessment diagnostic if you want to go through it. Talk to me on how we're doing this. If you are looking this for your team, if you're a rep and you're like, yo, my leaders need to get involved, we can talk. If you're a leader and you're like, this is what I need, we can talk. But we'll throw it in there. But this is the program we're running right now, all through LinkedIn, social selling, cold calling. We run 45 days. We have workshops, coaching sessions with you. And this has just been an absolute banger for a lot of clients. So want to share this with you all today. I'm like, this is what we're doing. All this content that we're doing right now that we share through Muffins, again, is a small snippet of it. And then we get deep with clients to like get them results like this. So again, check out that strategy session application. Again, if you are a rep, you can also come through and talk to me as well. It's not just for the leaders, but obviously leaders this is more so for your teams. But wanted to share that with you all just so you can understand what we're working on, what results we're getting, and if you want to be involved in a more in-depth process than just the muffins, this is what we're doing. Now, as we wrap up, does anyone have any lasting questions that they want to drop in? If not, I got one more question for Mike so he can get on his day and continuously sell because I know that's what he's like, oh, I gotta get after it. But does anybody have any lasting questions about the referral programs, anything across the board on what we've talked about? Uh, Obviously, this is now the time to do that. If not, I will ask my question. So for everybody listening in, Mike, you've hit your numbers consistently. You've been a top rep, etc. What have you now? You're like kind of reflecting on everything. It could be a skill. It could be something that you're doing outside of work. What would you say is like the number one thing that you have been doing and you've been working on that allows you to show up 100% present on your calls so you can do really good discovery and show up as genuine as possible at events?
Yeah, the number one thing I would say is working on myself. That's something that is obviously so deep and so many different kind of levels to that. But I found right in the lowest lows of my sales career have been where I'm not focused on working on myself, where I'm just going through the motions. And frankly, I'm probably 99% all right brain in those moments. So tipping the scale back to where I'm focusing both on how I feel
Yeah,
as well as how I'm thinking. Because if you pay attention to that, we have the automatic default to always be listening to our voice and thinking that is processing feelings when we're really just continuing to process thoughts and narratives. So really just taking a moment, and for me, it's been breath work. I think I've shared that even with you. Like you can do a 5 minute breath work session in the morning, you can do it in a night where you're super heavy. So there's just so many different ways that as you continue to work on how you feel, you will show up in a much more energized, authentic self. And you'll show up in a way that's genuinely curious, not as somebody who has an agenda of how do I get this person to buy? And
yeah.
that's what people want because they ultimately buy from people they trust. Doesn't matter how good of a salesperson, how good of an ROI, it doesn't matter all of that. It's who do they trust? And I want to show up as that trustworthy person. And I can only do that if I'm working on myself.
I love that. Well, Mike, thank you so much for taking the time. For everybody listening in, my hope is that you took away some valuable information on how to, again, start building these referral programs and going from there. Absolutely enjoyed chopping up with you as always. And we'll see you all next week. I got another session. We're going to go tactical as always. And I hope you have a blessed weekend. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks, Morgan. Appreciate it, everybody.